So what I have on the board behind me here is the core value from each of the major religions of the world that we've discussed here. And as you can see, what they all have in common and what we boil down to as healthy spirituality and healthy faith and what those concepts should help create here and what all these major religions in the world are trying to create through these core values written behind me is connection between self and source, whatever that might be. So as an example, in Hindu religion, karma is the concept discussed for this. Whatever we put out is what comes back to us. There's this reflexive relationship that we have with the world around us and with the cosmos. Judaism talked about monotheism, the idea that there is only one God. And this is seen as a projection of self, right? So there's only one God, there's only one self. What they were going for, again, is unity and connection between self and source. The Dalai Lama talks about compassion. A lot of studies and research has shown that when we allow ourselves to have compassion for somebody else, when we're dealing with anger, when we're dealing with fear, this is what helps us get out of that state much more effectively and efficiently. The Dalai Lama has known this for a long time, even before we had research and were able to do this with science. Psychodynamic theory, coming from Sigmund Freud, he talks about projection. This is one of the oldest concepts in talk therapy. This is the idea that when we feel something very strongly about somebody else, it's really a reflection of something about ourselves that we have not fully yet come to terms with. Because at the end of the day, we don't really know anyone else like that. So, and what this speaks of is how strong this is perceived between two parties, in that this creates the connection with them. One love from Rastafari culture. This talks about unity of self with community and with source in a very literal way. Even the position of agnosticism, which at the end of the day is a belief in science. And science has discovered and continues to unravel all the different ways that human beings as a species fit into our ecosystem and really benefit from each other. But only if it's in this natural balance that it was intended to be, that human beings are getting farther and farther away from. But we'll talk a lot on this self-guided coaching plan about the science behind how we fit into our ecosystem from a more natural lens as well. But again, this is connection between self and source and energy. Another example comes from mindfulness. This is essentially what Buddhism has gotten boiled down to in Western culture. And this is a lot of different methods that help us deal with our pain and fear internally so we can tune into the moment and tune into each other and what our intentions are, and this being source energy. And last but not least, we have collective unconscious. This concept comes from Carl Jung. He's arguably the most famous talk therapist. And he talked about there is a shared unconscious that all human beings share between us that is literally encoded in our DNA. He believed this. And in many ways, it is very similar to this agnostic view that we see when we get enough research about what's going on at a molecular level and how everything truly is connected. We want to help you understand more and more how we can take some of the most helpful aspects of a healthy faith and a healthy spiritual practice to help you integrate body and mind in the most healthy, most natural state that's going to be best for your unique balance.